Hello, my name is Eric Normand. I have a business called PurelyFunctional.tv where I teach closure. And this is my vlog where I talk about what I'm working on. So this week was not a very productive week. My daughters were off of school and daycare. And so they were home with me most of the time. Plus, Thursday was the 4th of July, and I didn't work on that day. So I did manage to do a few things, and I expected it. I expected a non-productive week. Okay, so I'm working on two main things. I'm trying to make PurelyFunctional.tv into the most comprehensive closure training site available, and I'm writing a book. And part of the effort for the book is to develop my authority as a functional programming teacher or expert. So let's talk about some stuff that I've been thinking about. So I have an assistant, and he's been doing a lot of SEO work for me on my existing articles on both my blog and my company site. And we're at the point now of, I think, diminishing returns. We're getting to pages that, they get traffic, but it's not a lot of traffic. It's not very highly searched keywords. So I'm really thinking that we need something else, right? Like, he needs to be doing the research for finding keywords that people are actually searching for. I haven't traditionally written posts based on keywords. I've typically just done whatever I was thinking about or something I thought people needed to hear about. It's inspired by, a question on Stack Overflow or a chat in Slack or something. Or something related to the topic that I was making the course about. Things like that. And never really starting from, the traditional way of doing content marketing, which is, what are people searching for on Google? Let me make an article just for that. And so I think that now is the time to do that. I haven't been writing very much recently. It's hard to know why, because I have sat down to try to write, but I think it's some combination of having a baby in the house. I just feel tired all the time. And I used to, this is just an example, but I used to be able to read in bed, and I could read for an hour in bed. And now when I lie down, I just fall asleep with the book in my hand. I can't stay up, and I've never had trouble falling asleep before. So I'm obviously operating like near the edges of my ability in terms of sleep. I also used to be able to say, okay, tonight I'm just going to finish that article I was started, and I might stay up till midnight making it and then go to sleep. I can't do that anymore. At 9 o'clock, I sit down at the keyboard and I'm like, I can't. 20 minutes will go by and I haven't written anything. And I'm like, what happened? And I'm just like drifting off. So that is, it's a constraint I have to work with while I'm doing this stuff. Also, I don't know if this is true, but I feel like I have a certain number of words that I can type every day, and or a certain amount of like juice for quality of words. And one thing that happens is I write for my book, and I don't feel like I have much left. Like my words just don't have a lot of oomph to them when I'm done with my book. So it's one of the reasons why I can podcast, because I can still talk. I can talk all day. But writing requires like a lot more organization and focus to make the words come out in grammatically correct ways. At least that's my experience. So that's why I've been able to maintain the podcast, and it's why I started the podcast, because I was like, I'm already writing so much. If I'm going to make more content, it's going to have to be some other medium. So anyway, I do think I need to write some of these guides myself. My assistant is pretty good. He's not very technical, so he's not a programmer. He doesn't know that stuff, and so I can't have him write it. It's even hard to have him piece it together from other stuff. And then, of course, I feel like I do bring a depth of context that I think is pretty unique. It's rare enough that that's one of the things that's valuable to my audience. It's the context that I bring to it that I don't think anybody else could do. So I would love to have some process in place for producing content, whether it's I'm paying somebody to write it, or I'm paying someone to like take the transcripts of something I read or a video I make and turn it into a post. Okay, I'll tell you the two things that I want to make articles about. One is Clojure install guide. I have an old one that I put together, but things have changed. That was like Windows 8 was the new thing, so I want to do Windows 10 and just have like a one place where you can go to learn to install Clojure. And I'm already ranking for the keywords. If you search for install Clojure, my pages are up there, but they're old, and I want to do a better job. And I feel like, doing a better job consolidating all of them. They're all on different pages. So the Mac one is on a different page from the Ubuntu one and the Windows one. They're all on different pages. I feel like putting them all together into a single one would consolidate their rankings. So like I'm getting, if you type install Clojure, I think I have 3 posts in the top 10, but I don't think I'm number 1. But if I took those 3 and made it one page, I imagine that one would get to number 1. That's my hope, at least, and it's from experience. That's how those things work. Anyway, I just want to make that install guide. There's Clojure tutorial, which we have attempted to rank for, but we're not doing very well on it. I don't have any links or anything. That's another problem. But that's another issue with it, is that Clojure tutorial is a good keyword in terms of the number of people searching for it. But, oh man, that is like the most work you could possibly do to get an article about it. It's a maximal amount of work to come up with a tutorial. So I haven't even attempted that. What we attempted before was a roundup of Clojure tutorials, hoping that by having a page that's like, these are all the closure tutorials that, are any good, that we could rank for the closure tutorial keyword. It doesn't seem like we can. So, that was a failed experiment. Another thing I've been working on is, in terms of purely functional.tv, is I have I'm recording a course, and I knew I couldn't do any recording this week. It's just not possible with kids in the house. But I did plan a couple of lessons. So next week I should be able to hit the ground running and record some stuff. And that will be good, having some momentum on that. At some point, the lessons kind of write themselves, but it's still in the early stages where, like, in the early parts of the courses, they don't have many concepts, right? So you have to, find a way to teach a concept without using many other concepts, or, some kind of visual thing that you can show on the video to hook them in, oh, I get it, so that then later you can use that concept to teach another concept. So it's like bootstrapping, and those are the hardest ones. And once you have it where okay, everything, now it's just a bunch of applications, expansions, deepenings, that stuff writes itself. I'm just in those early stages where the order of every little thing you do matters. And so that's why I only got 2 lessons in. But, I have a big outline, and I really do feel like the other stuff writes itself. And that's one of the things I've learned over the years is I always remember the end where the lessons are writing themselves, and I feel like I can refer to other videos and stuff so easily that I can just jot a few notes, hop up in front of the camera, or start recording my screen and just go, because everything's set up. All the ideas are just they're like bowling pins, just waiting to be knocked down. And I remember that at the end. I remember that ending part as yeah, I'm so good, right? I'm good at this. And it's easy. I know how to make courses now. And then when I start the next one, I wonder, why is it taking so long for this one lesson? Why is it so hard to plan? Wasn't I good at this? What happened? And I have to remind myself that this is just how it is at the beginning. It's always like this. You remember the end of the last one more than you remember the beginning of the last one. But it always starts this way. And once the ball is rolling, it's very easy. But you got to break down this concepts into smaller pieces. You have to come up with the context. You have to figure out the approach, how you're going to approach the material, and all that stuff is hard, but it pays off by the end when you're just recording and recording. So that's what I'm working on. I got my newsletter, and I got a couple of submissions for the challenge. It was harder than I thought. I did it, and it took a while, and it's not an obvious solution. And so here's the thing. As a teacher, I want them to try to do a hard one, even if they fail. Because then when the answers come out, and other people's answers, they can see, oh, I'd see if I had done this, it would have done that, and it would have worked. And it's I wonder though if people aren't like, oh no, this one I can't. I don't really get it. How to do it? It's not so obvious. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm gonna wait for an easy one. It's like this what teachers deal with all the time with homework and stuff. It's like, do you want to learn? You're gonna have to challenge yourself. If you want to learn this, you gotta try. You gotta give it a shot, and you'll learn through the effort. I don't know what else I can do. If it's just easy stuff, it's boring, right? I don't know. Maybe have an easy, medium, and hard one, but then that's 3 times the work. I don't know. I did get a nice email saying that I was doing a really good job on the newsletters, and so, well, that's good. Cool. So let's talk about the other thing I'm working on, which is the book and my authority. So the main thing with the authority is I'm recording a podcast, and I publish the video, the audio, and transcripts on my site. And that's basically a very systematized thing. My assistant does the YouTube titles. I don't even know if it's worth it for him to do that, but he's got it down pretty quick. And one thing I was doing for a while was taking the transcripts and turning them into tweets. So I'd go through and like find all the pithy things I said and put them into my Twitter system. It's called Edgar, and it will randomize them and schedule them out to be tweeted. I stopped doing that because it was very tedious, and there were definitely more important things I needed to be working on. What I need to do is find like a day or something, like the morning when I just go through them and just process them really quickly. It's not easy. It's not that fun. I need to find some way to make it fun, because I do think I'm running out, and I don't have any stuff from like the last 6 months of recording. So it's missing a lot of the good stuff, the recent stuff. They're all randomized, but if you don't put new stuff in, everything is old. Anyway, the book is this close to going into early access, which means that it will start being available online to purchase. And we decided on a temporary cover. We basically said, it's good enough. Like, let's not worry about it anymore. We can change it later. We were tired of going back and forth, and it really is good enough. It's probably not going to change the MEEP. So the book is, I'm really excited about the MEEP. That's the early access program, because it is the first time that people are going to be able to buy it. We're going to get a good idea of whether people like it and what they say about it and how well it's going to do when it's done. So that's very important, because I've been putting a lot of work into this and I want it to do well. And, well, you got to get it out there at some point. And I think there's a lot of good stuff in it. The challenge on this one, there's a possibility that it won't do well. That would be sad. And we have no idea. If we knew why it's not going to do well, we would change it, because we've already changed it so many times. So I feel like this is our best shot at this material. And I've got a reorg of the table of contents that I'm working on. I think it's based on a better idea that I've talked about in my podcast, a better idea of how to organize the material. Um, yeah. Any challenges I'm working on there? I mean, it's really just a time management thing. I didn't expect the book to take so long. I'm a pretty fast writer, and I dashed off drafts of the first 3 chapters pretty quickly, like within a couple of months of starting the book. And here we are, like over a year later, and I'm just now getting 3 chapters out in early access because I wrote them and rewrote them and tried different chapters and came back, and so it I feel like a fool admitting this, but yeah, that's the way it was. And the book is better because of it. It took a while. It took until like about January before I really felt like the process that we had in place and the style of the book matches the content, and everything just seems to work well. And the people that we have working on the book, let me put it that way, another thing is better for this kind of book. So yeah, looks good. I've been very thankful that Manning is letting basically me come up with a control the cover. I've been able to put in lots of comments on it, and they make the changes that I ask for, and it seems like this cover is going to be the one that goes live, which is pretty cool. And of course, like I was saying, we're going to need to change it again, but it's good enough for early access, so we're just letting it ride for now. Anything else? Yeah, there's a million things that I want to be working on, but I'm focusing. I got jealous because, my assistant is pretty good. He's good with people, so he's kind of general purpose. But he's not that sharp, and he's not that. What do I want to say? He doesn't take charge of his own learning and trajectory. I wish that I had someone who already knew all the stuff that I need to do and was good at it. What I mean by good at it is, it's one thing to be competent with the social media tools. It's another to have a sense of what does well on social media, right? And whether it's worth the time and effort to do that. So I remember early on, he was like, yeah, I know how to do social media. And so he created me accounts on like every platform. And it was like, then what? Like, now that I have these accounts, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you made me an Instagram account. Like, what do I do on that? And he didn't know. He knew how to set up the account. He knew how to make the banner, like all the little technical details he could do. But then when it came to actually making engaging, valuable content, it was like, this is the hard part, right? So I don't know. I just wish that we hadn't even started the Instagram account. If you don't know what to put on there, time is valuable, and can't just, say, oh, we have social media. We're doing social media. That's not the point. So I have a big challenge, which is a lot of times I'll give him a task that I think is reasonable to ask. And it turns out that there's one piece that maybe wasn't reasonable because, that really needs to be me doing it because I know closure and I know my audience and I know how I know, I also am a native English speaker. Like, it's really like, no, I need to do that. But then that just creates work for me. And the thing that I gave him was less valuable than the things that I am working on. So now I just have more work to do that's less valuable than the other work that I'm already doing. And that's the big challenge, is like getting him to do stuff that is valuable, that helps me, that he can finish. Like it's valuable. It's like the stuff that, consistent investment over time will turn into something, that drives a lot of traffic. But I'm certainly not in a position where I can spare the time to, do this. I mean, even simple stuff like coming up with a new SEO title for a post. That is distracting. It takes a lot of energy to come up with new titles like that. And he often can't do it, or jiggering the first 2 paragraphs of a post so that it's a better introduction to what the post is. I mean, it's very valuable. It could double the traffic to that page, but I'm also trying to do something that's directly going to increase the number of subscribers I have, bottom of funnel stuff, decrease churn, and it's valuable. Like, I wish he could just do it himself, but he can't. So I'm always thinking, do I need a native English speaker? I can't afford 2, so I'd have to let him go. And, well, I hope he doesn't watch this, because I don't think he has a clue about any of this. Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Eric Normand, and I am out of here. Thanks for watching.